Where you last left off, you were, let's say you were probably, uh, you were with the now king, and you are in his chambers. He's preparing for bed. To which, for a few seconds, the entire scape freezes, and then within a blink, you are once again back on that opalescent sky plane. The ground is this orange, it's almost like clay like color. It looks like you're staring into the night sky to a degree, and in your immediate front, you see kind of standing back towards you, his back towards you, this giant like figure, about 10 feet tall. He has this large graying beard and this unkept white hair that is pulled back in underneath this golden crown like head ornament. His eyes have this like orange glow, almost like they're hit with glitter or gold, and there's gold that ordains the face piercings all along. He wears this very long black and gold robe that stretches out behind him and just rests in the sand, his arms behind his back. He turns to look at you, to which you can see those eyes as they give off a dim light. He looks at you. Let's see. It's Dalen. Dalen, correct? I hope I.
Yeah, yes.
Well, how are you feeling?
I don't know. It's been a long time.
Yes, time. You came from when precisely? And he takes out this sort of hand booklet and opens it up and begins looking through. You came from Novostoya, or Vastoya, I suppose. I can see by that look on your face that you have experienced some heavy trauma, I suppose.
Hey, I didn't expect to see kingdoms fall. Kings kill themselves to create.
Yes, well, thus is war. And you will see even more with what comes next. And he reaches his hand out behind him and sort of just places his hand like he's opening a door, and as he closes his palm, a golden knob forms around it, and he twists it and opens it up, and you see this glowing orange doorway, almost like a portal that opens up behind him. And he says, "Well, no rest for the weary. On to the next. Your destination is Faerun, 496 PDW, just outside of Baldur's Gate."
Okay. Dalen starts to walk forward, and then when he starts getting close to the door, we'll turn and look at him. What was your name?
Zacchaeus is my name. You'll be seeing more from me. This one's going to be a little long, so get seated. And as you walk into the portal, you hear the pealing of time along your ears, before you are thrusted into an open warfield. This story begins at the end of the previous year in Nightle, the 12th month, the month of the drawing down. This takes place in Faerun, just outside the walls of Baldur's Gate. There is a fresh battle, an invasion of Urasil, the god of war's army, attempting to push forward through into Baldur's Gate. This battle is the first thing you see as you enter this portion of this timescape. You see a halfling man, bushy beard, along with a human with auburn red facial hair and long hair, just down to the shoulders. The battlefield is a vision of chaos. Smoke rises in thick columns, the air heavy with the smell of blood and ash. Baldur's Gate's outer fields are a broken war zone, littered with bodies. The sounds of clashing steel, roaring warriors, and cries of the wounded fill the air. In the heart of the fray stands Groff, the halfling, his twin blades flashing in the sun. He moves with grace and precision, cutting through enemies with deadly efficiency. Nearby, Bogart Morley wields his war hammer, this hulking silver hammer with bits of jewels that ordain the actual pole that he holds. He holds it with unrelenting power, smashing through enemy ranks like a battering ram. Groff begins, shouting over the noise. "Bogart! How's your end looking?" Bogart responds, "Busier than a tavern on free ale night," laughing as he crushes on an enemy soldier under his hammer. Groff ducks under an enemy's wild swing, spinning to drive both blades up into his opponent's ribs. Bogart swings his hammer in a devastating arc, sending two soldiers flying. Groff grins. "Don't suppose you could spare a hand, eh?" "Oh, sure. Let me just leave my half of the battle to someone else. I'm sure it'll be more than competent for anybody else except for me." The two fight back to back now, their movements perfectly synchronized. Groff's speed complements Bogart's raw strength, each watching the other's blind spots. Groff deflects a spear heading towards Bogart, while Bogart flattens a soldier trying to flank Groff. "You call that a swing? And you call that dodging? Looked like a drunk stumbling out of the Smiling Boar." Suddenly, the chaos quiets. The remaining soldiers of Urasil part, forming a wide circle. Out steps a towering blue orc warrior clad in dark bronze armor etched with blood-red runes. His eyes glow with an unholy light, and he wields a jagged glaive that hums with divine energy. Groff mutters to himself, "The half-god of Urasil, Urkesh. Well, this should be interesting. Puny mortals, you think you can stand against the will of Urasil?" He points his glaive at them, the air around him rippling with power. Groff and Bogart exchange a quick glance. No words needed. They step forward together. The half-god charges, his glaive slashing wide arcs that tear through the ground itself. Groff darts forward, weaving around the deadly blade with nimble grace. Bogart circles the other side, waiting for an opening. You're fast, little elf. But you'll need more than speed to. Bogart cuts him off with a thunderous strike to the side, his hammer slamming into the half-god's exposed flank. The half-god staggers, roaring in pain, but recovers quickly, spinning his glaive in a deadly arc. As it nicks the side of Bogart, he grits his teeth. "Groff, no!" Groff leaps onto the half-god's back, driving both blades into the gaps in his armor. The half-god roars in fury, trying to shake Groff off, but Bogart is already charging. "Hold him steady! Hold him steady!" Groff kicks off the half-god's shoulders, flipping backward just as Bogart swings his hammer with every ounce of strength. The hammer connects with the half-god's chest, sending a shockwave through the battlefield. The half-god collapses to his knees, his glaive slipping from his grasp. Groff lands lightly beside Bogart, who is breathing heavily, but grinning. Groff, smirking as he sheaths one sword. That wasn't so bad. Bogart leaning on his hammer. Speak for yourself. I've earned a drink. Or 5 after this. Around them, the remaining soldiers of Ursul retreat in disarray. The battlefield is theirs, but the cost of victory hangs heavy in the air. Groff looks towards the horizon. This is just the beginning. Bogart nods, the weight of the battle clear in his eyes. Together they turn back toward the regrouping defenders of Baldur's Gate. Later in the day, as the moon rises, we enter the Smiling Boar Tavern. The Smiling Boar is alive with energy. The warm glow of lanterns bathes the wooden interior, and the air is filled with laughter, the clinking of mugs, the strum of a bard's lute in the corner. Groff and Bogart sit at their usual corner table, a half-empty pitcher of ale between them. Both are battered from the day's battle, with fresh scars and armor still dented. But their spirits are high. Bogart lifts his mug up, his voice booming over the noise. To not dying, and to smacking a half-god upside the head so hard he'll think twice about coming back. Groff raises his own mug with a smirk. To you not dying. If you'd moved any slower, I'd have to finish him off myself. They clink mugs and drink deeply, both laughing. Bogart wipes the foam from his beard, grinning. Oh, sure. You're welcome, by the way. Pretty sure my hammer did most of the work. Most of the noise, maybe. You swing that thing like you're trying to wake the gods. And yet here we are, alive, victorious, and celebrating. Admit it, Groff. You'd miss me if I weren't around to save your skinny hide. Maybe a little. Who else would I trust to catch a glaive for me? They both laugh. The tension from the day easing. After a moment, Groff pours them both another round from the pitcher. But really, I mean it, Bogart. I couldn't have done it without you today. You've always had my back. Even when things looked impossible. That's what friends do, isn't it? You did the same for me. Hell, you have. More times than I can count. There's a moment of quiet understanding between them before Bogart shifts his conversation. So, any word on Velgen? Yeah, he's been busy. Apparently, as he leans forward, Netherill's sending him as part of an envoy to Ishkamel in the coming months. Raising an eyebrow, Bogart continues. Netherill's always stirring up something. What's Ishkamel got that they want? Resources? Allies? Artifacts? I heard they had some form of peace delegation that I guess we're also supposed to go towards, maybe? Hopefully it's supposed to be into this war, but there's so many things to do in the meantime. It's not impossible that it'll happen anytime soon. Velgen's tight-lipped about it, as always, but he says it's important. And you trust him? I mean, he's your friend and all, but Netheril folk, they've got their own way of doing things. I trust Veldrin to be Veldrin. He's ambitious, sure, but his heart's in the right place. I've never seen someone desire peace more than him. He wouldn't risk something like this if it wasn't worth it. Fair enough. Just don't let him rope you into any of his Netheril politics. Last thing you need is to be trading swords for scrolls. Not a chance. I'd look terrible in diplomatic robes. The bard in the corner stripes up a livelier tune, and the noise in the tavern grows as patrons sing along. Groff and Bogart sit back, watching the room for a moment. Bogart raises his mug again. To surviving today, and to whatever madness tomorrow brings. And to the friends who make it all worth it, they clink mugs, they drink, their laughter mingling with the tavern's cheer. For a moment, amidst the chaos of their lives, there is peace. The month is Alterac, the Claw of Winter. About 4 months away from the end of this war. And this story picks up once again on the battlefield, but this time in front of a very different foe. The sky above the battlefield is a churning sea of dark clouds, crackling with lightning. The forces of Baldur's Gate clash against a relentless army. The air thick with the sound of clashing steel, roaring war cries, and distant thunder. Groff and Bogart fight back to back, their movements fluid and instinctual after years of battle together. Bogart begins swinging his hammer, sending an enemy flying. Groff, tell me again why we're not drinking right now. Groff parrying a strike, then lunging forward to deliver a killing blow. Because someone thought it'd be a good idea to invade our backyard. Again. Right. Well, remind me to write a strongly worded letter when this is over. Their camaraderie keeps them moving, even as the odds stack against them. Lightning suddenly splits the sky, striking the earth mere yards away. A figure emerges from the storm. A towering draconic half-god, his scales shimmering like storm clouds, and his eyes glowing with an electric blue light. This is Kalith, the half-god of Nimir. He strides forward with purpose, every step exuding power. The battlefield seems to freeze as both armies instinctively step back, making way for him. Lower your weapons. This is not your fight to win. Groff steps forward, his blades drawn, while Bogart follows, gripping his hammer tightly. Groff, steadily. You bring war with our lands and tell us to step aside? Not a chance. Kalith tilts his head, almost contemplative. I bring balance. Nimir's will must prevail, whether you stand or fall. Balance? You call this balance? You're tearing apart families, lives. He pauses, his voice breaking slightly. You think we'll just let that happen? Kalith, with quiet conviction. I do what must be done, just as you do. Without warning, Kalith raises his clawed hand and a bolt of lightning arcs toward the pair. They dive in opposite directions, the ground erupts in sparks and flame. The fight begins. Groff charges in first, his dual blades dancing through the air as he aims for Kalith's leg. Kalith blocks with an electrified glaive, countering with a sweeping strike that Groff narrowly avoids. Bogart follows up with a devastating overhead swing of his hammer, the impact shaking the ground. Kalith is forced back but remains unyielding, Bogart grinning through his gritted teeth. Not so untouchable now, are you? Kalith, with a trace of regret. You fight well, but this is not your victory. Kalith summons another surge of lightning, blasting both Groff and Bogart back. Groff rises first, his blades flashing as he presses the attack, the bit of lightning glimmering off the blades. The half-god meets him blow for blow, the strikes echoing across the battlefield like thunderclaps. Groff yelling at Bogart, "Stay back! Let me handle this!" Like hell I will! But before Bogart can intervene, Kalith disarms Groff with a sudden twist of his glaive. A second later, the half-god summons his thunder blade into his hand and drives this weapon into Groff's chest. Time seems to stop. Groff gasps, his blades falling from his hands as he collapses to his knees. Groff! Bogart charges, swinging his hammer with all his might. Caliph deflects the blow, but stumbles, clearly affected by the sheer force. Bogart doesn't stop. Raining strikes down on the half-god, his rage overpowering his technique. Caliph, battered but resolute, steps back, raising his glaive defensively. "This is not my choice," softly, almost mournful. With a final blast of lightning, Caliph creates a barrier, separating himself from Bogart. The half-god turns and walks away, disappearing into the storm as the battlefield erupts back into chaos. Bogart drops his hammer and rushes to Groff's side. Groff lies on his back, blood pooling beneath him. Despite the pain, he smiles faintly when he sees Bogart. "Guys, I'm not catching that glaive this time." "Shut up," choking back tears. "You're not going anywhere. We'll get you patched up. We'll find clerics and, Bogart, listen to me. You have to keep going. This fight, it's bigger than us." Bogart gripping Groff's hand tightly. "Not without you, my friend. I can't do this alone. I just can't." "You're not alone, idiot. You've got the whole damn world to fight for." Groff's hand goes limp, his eyes closing. Bogart sits there for a moment, stunned, the sounds of battle fading into the background. He picks up Groff's blades, strapping them to his back alongside his hammer. He rises, his face a mask of grief and determination, and anger and hatred. To himself, his voice shaking but resolute. "I'll make this right. Somehow. I swear it. I swear it." Not forgiving in the slightest. You've just witnessed this man's shift. His shift was not of his own choice. What comes next is the entire shift of a man. The man you saw drinking died today. What part of you do you think you're willing to risk to not end up like this? What part have people around you already lost? What part has already died? I wonder. The month is Tarsak, the Claw of Storms. Less than a month away from the end of this war. We find ourselves north, directly in between Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter, as we follow Bogart and his men as he travels to the site of an old foe. Months have passed since the death of Groff, and Bogart has lost himself. He is focused on one thing and one thing only: revenge. A stormy battlefield, littered with the remnants of a recent skirmish. Thunder cracks in the distance, and rain pours heavily as Bogart and his men navigate the shattered terrain. In the distance, the half-god of Nimir, shrouded in sparks and lightning, stands waiting with calm defiance. The air is thick with tension. Bogart surveys the field, his face a mix of rage and sorrow. Lightning briefly illuminates the battlefield, casting the silhouette of Nimir's half-god standing tall amidst the chaos. Bogart, gripping the sword of Groff tightly. Where is he? The one who stole Groff from us. The one who... Soldier to his left, hesitantly. Sir, he's retreating. Do we pursue? Bogart interrupting. his voice like a growl. We don't let gods walk away. Not today. Bogart charges forward, his soldiers reluctantly following. Nimir's half-god sees them approach and raises his hand. A crackling bolt of lightning strikes the ground, forcing soldiers to scatter. Bogart presses on. Caliph, calm, almost regretful. You seek vengeance. I seek balance. Leave now, mortal. Balance? You call Groff's death balance? You don't get to decide who lives and dies. The two clash. Sparks fly as Bogart's blade meets the half-god's crackling spear. They exchange blows, each one more furious than the last. Bogart fights like a man possessed, his grief fueling his strength. Finally, after a grueling exchange, Bogart lands a decisive strike, disarming the half-god. Caliph falling to his knees, breathing heavily. Do what you must. Bogart, voice trembling with rage, places the blade back in its sheath. You see, I forget his name, I'll be honest, but the half-god figure that started this portion of the journey, the human-like man with the black to gray beard, the white hair slicked back, the golden eyes, and the piercings along the face. As he comes and he places his hand on your shoulder. So, Dalen, go ahead and intrigue me, humor me for a moment. What do you think happens next? The killing blow is right here. Do you think he takes it?
I've watched him for a long time now. I saw what he lost, and I don't see why he wouldn't.
Yes, that revenge can be oh so easy to take, especially at a time like this. He's practically begging for it. Now I ask again, what would you do?
I feel like I already did. Feels like a long time ago now, but
And
I don't know.
Was there any hesitancy?
In the moment, no, I didn't hesitate. I didn't even really think for a moment to stop. But after, it plays sometimes. I think about what I might do now, and I still don't know. I worry.
Yes. Death is a fitting prison for certain individuals. But I guess it depends on how you go about it. Well, thank you. I'll see you again in a few minutes. Let's see how it goes. Oh, I will. And removes the hammer from his back. Bogart raises the sword high, the soldiers behind him watching in horror. How does it feel? How does it feel to be powerless? To feel the weight of mortality crush you? He strikes the half-god across the chest. Electricity flaring as the divine blood spills onto the ground. The half-god winces, but he does not cry out. The tears streaming down Bogart's face begin to mix with the rain. You took him! You took Groff! You took my brother! He strikes again, a savage blow that echoes through the storm. The half-god falters but remains kneeling. I watched him die, calling for me. Do you even care? Did you even think about the lives that you ruined? Another strike, and another. Each blow filled with escalating fury. Bogart's voice breaks as his grief consumes him. Look what you've done. Look what you've turned me into. Look what I have to be. To win this war. To end the strife. You self-righteous prick. He strikes over and over, the rain washing the blood from his hammer as he pours his pain into each blow. Even if I pleaded, you wouldn't have saved him. You said that there was no mercy in this war. That your will had to be done for your damned god. He pulls the Stormbringer from the hip, the large electrical blade. He stares at it. If there's no mercy for us, he flips the blade around, then there's no mercy for you. One final thunder strike. The half-god collapses, lifeless. Bogart stands over the body, trembling, his sword clutched in shaking hands. He drops the blade and pulls out Groff's two blades and begins stabbing over and over and over and over as one of the soldiers comes over and quietly says, "Captain, it's done. What now?" Bogart doesn't respond at first, staring at the body of the half-god. Finally, he turns, his eyes burning with grim determination. We march. March where? Ishkamel. The world's so desperate for peace. Let's show them the cost. If these damned gods and their offspring bring their war to Faerun, and in our defense, I lose my best friend, we'll show them the power of Faerun. He walks away, leaving the soldiers in stunned silence, his silhouette stark against the storm as he leads his men into the unknown. Grim determination, Dalen. You've done it. The end of it all. Next, you'll be thrown into the war. It's about time. Once you are carried back, I hope you will see the true determination it takes to fight war. And what must stop it at all costs.